Welcome back to the channel. This is Keshav from Dr. Behind the Scenes, and today we have two important guests with us. First is Dr. Sushma, and another is Dr. Mohit. So, hi, doctor. How are you?
All good. How are you?
I'm good, doing good. And what about Dr. Mohit?
I'm great too, man. How are you?
I'm good. And both of them cleared their FMG in their very first attempt and with an amazing score of 200 plus. Both of them scored 200 plus. First of all, congratulations, guys. It's an amazing score because the percentage this time was very low. Like December, it was 23 around, and this time it was 10. Still, you guys scored 200 plus. That's commendable. That's great. So the main aim of this basically video is to, like, if someone is preparing for December attempt, so they have two options: either to go for a coaching center like MIST, or to go for an online resource like Prepladder or Marrow. Okay, so the thing is, if student is joining MIST or a coaching center, then their strategy will be different from a person who is joining Prepladder, because MIST is more of a time constant. Like you have a fixed schedule, 8 to 8 or 9 to 9, and then you have to figure out things according to that. And if someone is preparing for Prepladder or Marrow, then he has that amount of time वो कभी figure out कर सकता है उसे कब करना है. But still there is no external pressure there कि वो करे ना करे. If they feel bored, then वो छोड़ भी सकते. But it's not happen in MIST. Right. So the main this video is to basically know your strategy, your resource, how did you manage your reading and your revision thing, and what is your dedicated, like when did you start preparation, and what was your dedicated time of preparation for this FMG. Okay, so let's start with Dr. Sushma. First of all, before this, a little introduction about you guys. Let's start with Dr. Sushma.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Sushma Hossur. I'm from Wuhan University of Medicine, China, and I cleared my FMG in my first attempt. I joined MIST coaching, and it was a concise course for 6 months. So yeah, that's about me.
And you, Dr. Mohit?
Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Mohit Panjwani. I'm from a very small city in Madhya Pradesh, Katni. I graduated from Teaching University Geomary, Tbilisi, Georgia. And this was my very first attempt in FMG, and I got 229 out of 300. And I'm glad I cleared it in the very first attempt.
Okay. Now coming to the coming to the preparation part. So when did you start preparing? Like in which year of your college? In your 4th year, 5th year, or you are planning from your starting like first year कि FMG clear करना है उसके लिए पढ़ना है. So when did you start preparing, and what was your dedicated time ki, like dedicatedly you were studying for FMG? Is it 4 months, 5 months or 6 months? Like depend from college to college, कब तुम graduate होते, then depend on that. So let's start with Dr. Mohit.
Okay, so actually, I was not having any plan of giving the FMG the first place. When I was in my college, I was, trying to go for some different exam. I was, more keen towards PLAB, but, eventually when I really went into the depth of giving the PLAB, I got to know that there are so many formalities, so many exams for reaching, to that level in UK. So I was like, and everyone, in my house that, at least you gave FMGE, at least you'll have a recognition in your home country. And I found it to be I thought that's a logical thing that I should have any recognition in my home country. So that's when I decided to go for FMGE, and I really started. I was a very good student in my college, so especially for FMG, I started my preparations in January 2022, and then I just subscribed to Prepladder for it, because I didn't know what to expect, what not to expect. I was not having any idea about how the questions are going to be. So I then just subscribe to Prepladder, and they have very awesome faculty. I must say this, because without them, I won't even I cannot even imagine giving this exam. And this year was a little bit tough. So yeah, that's what I started in January, and then just 6 months I just went for it.
So in college years, you were not prepared, like you were not using any resources for your exams, or you were just using basic resources like standard textbook or whatever the college provides?
Yeah, I just refer to the standard textbooks in my college, and for different subjects, there are different books. I just went for them in my college years. And for FMG especially, I subscribed to Prepladder in January only.
So the main like timeline was 5 months, right? January, Feb, March, April, May. 5 months. 5 months.
Yeah,
ready.
5.
And what
Yeah.
about you, Dr. Sushma? Like when I talked with Dr. Sushma, even her aim was not to get FMG in the first place. Her aim was to give another exams, but again, she gave FMG.
Yeah. I started my preparation since I was pretty good in my college days. I had subscribed to Prepladder when I came to India during 2020, because apart from standard textbooks, I preferred coaching, because they teach well. It's a very good resource. So for 2 years, along with my university subjects, I referred to Prepladder. So I actually completed a lot of my clinical subjects in these 2 years. But if I have to go for like proper FMG preparation per se, I started in Jan when I joined Miss Coaching. So since my basics were actually pretty strong, Miss became like pretty easy for me. It was all about concise information that was required for the exam and not excessive. So yeah, as Dr. Keshav told, that I never had plans for FMG. My seniors convinced me last year. They're like, just do it, because internship had become a problem for me. So in order to get an internship, I thought, okay, let me just have a good backup. So FMG was one of my backups.
That's great. So in short, if you are studying in college, like little bit B, so you will pass, you can clear FMG, right? You both were good students. You both were studying from your first year and you both cleared FMG. Correct. In short, it was that.
Yeah.
Okay. So another thing is, like Dr. Mohit, you chose Prepladder. What are the pros and cons you find in Prepladder?
Well, the pros are they
And why you
teach.
did not choose an offline resource like Mist or
Well, it was my personal choice. I usually find it very, difficult to go to some other city and live there for 6 months while preparing. And, as you said previously, that, they have a very fixed schedule that, 9 to 9, you have to come. Don't have any option. Sometimes you want to study, sometimes you don't want to study. You just have to go there. I cannot follow that. I was unable to follow that. That's why I thought that I should take Prepladder. At least I will study whenever I will want, and I will take a break whenever I will want. So that's the thing that you get while you are studying through Prepladder. You can choose your own study hours. That's an advantage for me, at least. That was an advantage for me, at least. And the only thing that have to take care while doing this thing is you have to be really strict about it, because if you think that yeah पढ़ लेंगे यार जब होगा पढ़ लेंगे, time will pass and eventually फिर कुछ भी नहीं हो पाएगा. So that's the only thing, that if you are studying from your own home, then you just have to be really strict about it, that if your studying time is, for example, 9 to 12, for example, one study session is 9 a.m. to 12 a.m., then you should really stick to it. Do not get distracted, and that this problem doesn't you don't have in missed, because you have to sit there whether you want it or not, right? That's the
you want or not. Yeah.
Yes.
So in Prepladder, yeah, कोई भी online resource में self motivation काफी होनी चाहिए कि करना है तो वाला करना है.
Right, because उसके बिना फिर
वरना तो
you
फिर
are
अगला
nowhere. That's the thing.
correct. And yeah, and what about you, Dr. Sushma? Like, why did you choose Mist and not an online platforms में pre-recorded lectures like Prepladder or Man?
Like Dr. Mohit said, you require a lot of self-discipline, which I pretty much lacked. So even though I had 2 years of Prepladder, I took my own sweet time to finish a lot of subjects. And I knew this had to be, it's a short period of time where you have to absorb a lot of knowledge, revise, practice MCQs, and for which you need a lot of dedication, self-discipline. I did not have discipline. So that's why I needed an external pressure and that environment. Unfortunately, I couldn't opt for an offline class because of third wave of COVID. So yeah, I had chosen an online session, but even though it was online, it felt more like a real session, and I had to sit through the class. So yeah, that's the only one of the main reasons why I chose Mist.
Okay, so this video I think काफी ज़्यादा helpful होगी बच्चों की. यहाँ तीनों टाइप के. One, me जो prepare कर रहा है. Second, वो was motivated कि वो बैठ जाएगा खुद से पढ़ने के लिए. Third, जिन्हें कोई external factor चाहिए था तो उन्होंने miss join किया. Great. Okay, now coming to the strategy thing. Like, what was your strategy in your last? Both of them has 5 months timeline, right? You started in January and you also started in January. So what was your strategy in your 5 months? Like how much time you dedicated for first reading, and then how many revisions you did, like 1, 2, or depends on you how many revisions you did. Okay, so let's start with Dr. Sushma.
So with MIST, we have to revise on daily basis, whatever they teach. It's if you make it a habit, you wouldn't really find it difficult for subject-wise test, because strategy is very different when it comes to an online platform and offline platform, right? So they give you a particular strategy to follow, and you have to stick to it. So the first session of my revision finished, I think, mid of April. So that's when we finished all these subjects. And from mid of April till I think mid of May, we had subject-wise tests. So that became the second revision for me. And I think I did 3 to 3.5 revisions in the last 2 weeks. I mean, in total 3.5 revisions. In the last 2 weeks, I did 1.5 kind of revision, because I chose to finish the subjects I was pretty weak at. So I did not skim through over my stronger subjects. I just focused more on my weaker subjects. And I solved past 3 years of INI CET, NEET PG, as well as FMGE papers. Along with that, I watched the solutions. So yeah, I think that helped. Even the YouTube sessions and Academy live videos, they keep posting it, and Telegram MCQ. Yeah, you have to keep watching them, doing them. You feel it's waste of time, but actually it's not. You'll get a hang of solving MCQs, which is actually crucial for the exam. Yeah, that's all I did.
And like you mentioned, you did last 3 years of papers, 3 years or 5 years? 3 years
3
of
years.
INI, NEET, and
yeah.
Okay, so your first reading and first revision completed in April mid, and then you did second revision from April mid to May mid, May end, I think, or May mid, and then third revision.
Third revision.
Okay, and during when you were studying, like when you were watching lectures, like a lecture is from 8 to 8, then you used to revise after 8 o'clock, like in the night, the topic you studied.
It was from 9 to 9:30 at times. Okay. And after that, I used to take like half an hour, 45 minutes break and revise whatever we had done for the day. I felt it's very important to revise whatever you study, irrespective of the platform, because if you don't, the more number of times you revise, it stays in your head and you can easily recall in the exam. So you know how to apply at the same time the concepts.
Okay, and then you guys used to also have, like, Tuesday used to be off, right? And used to be an exam.
Tuesday, it was a preparatory leave for us. In the night, we used to have weekly tests we used to have. So yeah, we had 1 day to prepare for the test. And so basically it's all about understanding, learning, and applying the concepts properly. If you try memorizing everything, it's not possible, because clinical subjects are more conceptual. You need to know how to apply them. Biochemistry is all about mugging up. You have to know how to ratamar, all those things. So yeah, each subject has to be approached differently, which I felt was taught very well in the MIST coaching center. And yeah, the MCQs mainly helped me out a lot.
Okay, and did you studied all the 19 subjects, or did you leave any subject?
I did not leave any subject. I would not recommend anybody to leave subjects, because right now it's all integrated. So 12, 13 subjects were my core, my strength. And I made sure like another 3, 4 subjects were moderate. And the remaining, I made sure I knew something about it, if not everything. So that I could answer here and there. You can't score 300 out of 300. It's kind of, I wouldn't say it's impossible. Yeah. But if you're like super knowledgeable, then yes. But here it's all about getting a pass mark. Yeah. There is no negative mark.
Exactly. There is no score. There is no, you have to get one.
There's
more than 165, exactly. I think. We have to get 165, right? To give aims.
Yes.
Okay. So, okay. And what about you, Dr. Mohit? What was your strategy of reading and revision?
Well, when I started, I, made the targets. Then by the mid of April, even thought that by the mid of April, I have to just complete the syllabus at least once, because agar main wo nahi karunga, it will be very difficult for me, because without revision, we are nothing in the exam, according to
Exactly.
me. Revision is a very important thing. So I completed my syllabus till mid of April, or, you can say 25th of April. I just completed my first reading. And then whenever I used to complete one subject, I used to, solve the MCQs of that particular subject. For example, if I completed anatomy today, I'll do the MCQs of anatomy from the Prepladder question bank.
Okay.
And then as I studied more and more subjects, Prepladder has a feature where you can, create your own mock tests. Not
Custom model.
exactly mock tests, but yes, customized mock tests. So for example, if I have done 4 subjects in the past 10 days, then revision, so I used to make that particular test, and then used to give that, so I could see that where I stand actually, because because one thing I learned, that even, for example, if I study one subject today and then, solved its MCQs tonight, then I won't actually know that what I know actually, because, you have to give some time, then you will know that whether you know it or not. So I
Exactly.
used to, do it like that. Then I completed my first reading. I completed my 2 revisions as well after that first reading. And I used to solve a lot of mock tests as well from Prepladder. And because mock tests are very important according to me, because, they give you a real idea about where you stand and how to manage time actually in the exam. Because, for example, if you are, doing it from home, then, just doing it in the comfort of your home, solving questions is very easy, but handling that pressure in the exam,
Damn
300
hard.
questions, that is very difficult. And that's what you are going to do in a few months. So you have to get prepared for that, if I have a pressure, I have only some time and I have to solve these questions, because some questions will be very tricky. Everything will not be so easy. Some questions will be tricky. Some questions will be like, you will think that, okay, 2 options are right. Now, which one should I choose? So, decode that, you need some time, extra time in such questions. Whereas the simple questions you have to finish in 30 seconds. So this time management thing I used to learn from the mock tests. So that's what I did. I just did the first reading, and then I used to solve as many as MCQs as I can. And that's just what I did.
All right. And another thing is, what was your revision strategy? Like, was it rereading the notes, or was it mainly solving the MCQ of that particular topic or particular subject?
No, I used to do both. I used to first of all revise that notes, and then I used to solve the MCQs, because just solving the MCQs, I was not feeling comfortable in that. I was like, okay, I know, but the
Missing
confidence is
something.
not coming by solving the MCQs. So I was like, I should know it first,
Hmm.
because if you don't know the concepts, there is no use of just memorizing things. It's just useless, because in the end, these memorizing questions will they will not matter in the end. All that matters is the concepts. If you have a good concepts, you can solve any question.
True. And another thing is, how many grand tests you give, mock test? I mean,
I think I gave around 7 to 8 mock tests.
so around 2 per month.
Yeah, not actually per month. I started giving it in end of March, but yeah, you can say it if you're just taking out
So,
the
what
average.
was your average score in that mock test? Is it same
I
like the you scored in FMG, or is it different?
my average score was around 205, 210 in mock tests.
Okay, and it was increased
Yeah,
by 20
yeah,
in main
increased
exam.
in FG. Yeah.
Great, great, great. And what about you, Dr. Sushma? Like, how many grand tests you give, and what suggestion you want to give regarding grand tests to the future students who are preparing? Like
We had three.
most of them are still waiting to finish their first revision or second revision, and the end month they will start doing grand tests. But I think that's like, if you give it early, then it will give you an insight what where you stand, like Dr. Mohit mentioned, like where you stand and what topics you have to mostly focus on.
Right.
Uh, so basically, we had 3 mock tests from Miss side in the end of May.
Okay.
And yeah, I felt that was more sufficient. I did not use Prepladder grant test. I quite didn't have time at that point of time. And coming to, I mean, it's my personal opinion when it comes to grant tests. For me, I feel that if I do grant test like 1 month after my preparation, I wouldn't have completed all 19 subjects. How many ever subjects I would have completed, and let's say I score S, I would lose the confidence that I even have. So that's why I prefer doing the mocks in the end when I've actually completed 2 rounds of revision. But it's a personal opinion. Everybody has their way of approaching things. Yeah. So my advice would be to do it probably not at the end, but maybe in the month, like 1 month before your actual exam. I would say that it depends on your personality. If you feel that you might get knocked down after scoring low in first mock test and you would feel very bad about it and stop studying, that kind of a person, then please give it in the end. But if you think that, okay, it will help you motivate, you would want to study more, or you would want to take it as a challenge, then do it in the beginning. That's my advice.
Okay. And Dr. Mohit, now another thing is, like you mentioned, you gave 7 to 8 grant tests, right? So what was your strategy for reviewing? Because just solving is not a thing, you have to review also. Right. So what was your strategy? Like you used to revise the whole 300 questions, or you used to revise only the incorrect ones?
Well, I actually planned for giving grant test after my first revision, right? So at least I knew that I know something, some things from every subjects, right? So what I did, just for example, I solved the grant tests on Sunday, for example. Sunday. So then on Monday, just I would like, I used to take 2 or 3 hours and then review all the 300 questions to see, what I did wrong, or kabhi kabhi koi tukka marte hain apan, so what was the actual explanation for that. Those, to understand everything about it, so that whenever I again attempt it, I should not have any problem while solving that. So that's my strategy. That was my strategy. Just solve it first of all, and then review every 300 question to know that what you actually know and what you don't.
So 3 hours mein possible hoga to revise 300 questions?
Yeah, I had to do it, man. I told you, I had to get disciplined, because agar main wo nahi karunga, to then how will I start my revision again? I had to. That was, I was like, karna hai matlab karna hai, kuch bhi karke kar lo.
Yeah. So you were just reviewing the question, or you were making any notes of this, like any points जो उसमें दिखे कि important है, and so you used to write anything, or you just to revise के one go ले लिया कि क्या क्या गलत था, क्या क्या सही था?
Well, मैंने ऐसा कुछ नहीं किया था, frankly speaking. मैंने सिर्फ देखा, I just understood, and then I just moved on. But I would suggest that please write it down, at least your wrong ones. I would suggest to, the people who are trying to give right now in December, just, whatever the wrong questions are, you just write the at least 2-3 lines, the question, explain the questions in 2-3 lines, and then just, think about it, and then, try to write answer with your own mind. Just read it, close it, and then just write it. So that eventually when you give your final mock test, just read that thing, and then you perform your final grant test. And I think that will boost your confidence. And when you score good in grant test, the confidence, automatically increases, and that will give you a boost in the exam day. So I will suggest that.
Great advice. Yeah. And what about you, Dr. Sushma? Like, you used to revise everything, or what was your strategy for reviewing grant test?
For grant test, since it was like in the last week before the exam, like 2 weeks before the exam, yeah, I didn't really review the entire set of questions. I saw whichever was incorrect. But when it comes to weekly tests, which I used to review every question. Okay. And whichever I felt I did not understand, I could contact the faculty immediately. So that's one of the biggest advantages.
You can contact the faculty. Like if
you can talk. Yeah, you can talk to them. They'll be on Telegram, WhatsApp. You can call them whenever you want, whenever they're free. And yeah, so there are three things which I actually appreciate from MIST per se. And I don't think it's there at Prepladder, since I'm also a subscriber of Prepladder. Firstly, you will have like one-to-one interaction over there. And they'll give you these motivational pep talks during breaks, which I think was super important for me to get through tough times. Secondly, if you do really well in your subject-wise tests, if you're in top 10 or top 15, you'll get these small gifts from them. I got a lot of books, notebooks, pens, even a coat, a bag. So that actually boosts a lot of my, I think that is like positive reinforcement, right? So you do well, you want to do well. That's like a dopamine rush. You want to do well at any cost. So third thing we had, I think even Prepladder has workbooks, but for us, we had to fill in the workbooks. It was more like fill up the blanks. So you understand the concept, you write things in your own words. So that becomes more like a visual memory in the book rather than writing the entire thing down, which is a tedious process, I feel. So these three things are something I really appreciated from the Miss side, their efforts, apart from the faculty, of course. Faculty is amazing, is what I felt.
That's great. And about you, Dr. Mohit, like, did you use, like, she used printed notes with a fill in the blanks kind of thing, like, usme ek statement thi, then there is a blank you have to write, right? मैंने जितना देखा notes को. So what was your, like, you were using pre-made notes or you made your own handwritten notes for 19 subjects?
No, I just went for, you know, the PDF version. That's it. मैंने कोई notes नहीं बनाए, frankly speaking. I was not, you know, मेरे को लिखना नहीं आता. I mean, I don't like writing so many things in some short time. I was like, if I write things, when will I learn then? If I'll take my time to write all of these things, when will I be able to learn? So that's why I used the PDF versions of the notes. They are also very good and compressed. And Prepladder has this one amazing thing, rapid revision. You know, that helped me. Yeah, that is really amazing because, you know, whenever you try to, first of all, I did some subjects from the main notes and some subjects I did completely from the rapid revision, especially the preclinical subjects.
Can you mention the names? Like,
sure. Anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, these subjects I did from the rapid revision. But I would suggest if you don't know anatomy properly, then just go through the main notes. Okay, ऐसा नहीं करना कि आप भी सिर्फ, अगर आपके पास concepts नहीं है, then please do it from the main notes. If you have some concepts with you, then go with the rapid revision. Otherwise, वो आपको फिर बाद में regret होगा कि मैंने क्यों नहीं किया. So it's better कि if you know some things, then go with the rapid revision with the thought of just revising the concepts. If you want to learn everything in detail, then just go with the main notes. And the main subjects, the main clinical subjects, you know, the 4 elephants, obs-gynae, surgery, medicine, you know, PSM, I read with the main notes because these are very vast subjects and, you know, solving the questions and, you know, right now the questions are integrated. Even the preclinical subjects are portrayed in a way of the clinical scenarios nowadays. So it's very important to learn the basics. And when you do, you know, if you know the preclinical subjects and some subjects like, you know, especially microbiology and pathology, then you can, and then when you start to doing subjects like medicine and surgery, you will be, you know, able to connect the subjects. You will be able to connect the topics. When you know the pathology in the mind, you will know that's, you know, what we are expecting. And then when you can connect that thing, that becomes a permanent memory. So that was my approach.
And what about ENT and ophthalm? Currently, they are very high subjects, right? A lot of questions used to come from ENT and ophthalm. So you did from rapid revision or from the main notes?
Well, I did ENT and ophtha from the rapid revision. I will be very honest, but if you have time, please do it from the main notes because these are the scoring subjects. Okay, and especially even the minor subjects are very important. You know, derma, psycha, radio. These are very important subjects. You should do every subject because don't leave any subject. Just complete everything. You don't know what can make you pass. So just study everything, and I'm sure that everything will come in handy in exam.
Okay, one personal question. Like even I am preparing for December F10. How would you prepare anatomy and PSM?
Okay.
PSM was so dry and anatomy also. दोनों इतने dry हैं. कोई concepts इतने से होंगे. Like anatomy भी concept बहुत ही कम है. But रटने का part तो it's a lot.
Yeah, I felt that with PSM, you know, it was so difficult for me to learn everything. You know, when I was reading it for the first time, I was like, okay, तो हो जाएगा यार, इसमें कोई नहीं है. After 10 days, I was like, कुछ नहीं आ रहा यार करने में, ऐसा क्या हो गया यार ये. तो फिर then, you know, इसका एक ही मेरे पास option है, you know, just revise these two one time extra. What you do with the normal subjects, because there is no option, you know, you just have to revise these things. And these PSM is a very important subject. Sometimes you get 37-40 questions from PSM. It's very, very important. I would suggest, you know, do it properly so that, you know, you won't regret that you didn't do that.
Same thing happened with me. Like I did PSM 15 days back एंड अभी जस्ट आफ्टर 5 या 10 days मेरे को ऐसा लग रहा है मैं फिर से उसी स्टेट पे हूँ कि आई डोंट नो एनीथिंग. अगर मैं क्वेश्चन देखता हूँ इट्स न्यू. मैंने कहा ये कॉन्सेप्ट मैंने पढ़े तो थे लेकिन कुछ भी याद नहीं है.
PSM is very tough. Even I find PSM very tough.
Yeah, and what about you, Dr. Sushma? Like, how did you manage anatomy and this PSM?
Anatomy, I felt the teacher, the faculty was very good. It was not very vast for us. We were taught whatever was important. So that's something. Anatomy has been anatomy, pharma, biochem. These three subjects have been like, I don't know, a very difficult subject to learn for me ever since my medical school days. So I've never really liked those subjects. But the faculty from West, she made it very beautiful. It was more of pictures, less of memorizing a lot of things. Whatever was important was taught. More of visual learning rather than just ratamar. So what I did was I started doing anatomy. I mean, if you like it, if you start liking it, then you'll revise it more. So I tried best to like it, and I did start liking it eventually, except for like abdomen, which I hated, abdomen and pelvis. That was one chapter that I wanted to leave very badly. But yeah, so my last division was just about abdomen and pelvis. PSM though, it's a very dry subject. You have to keep revising. And this time, thank God, we had like pretty moderate, easy to moderate questions and few in number. It was pretty, I thought there would be like more than 50 questions. I thought I'd fail this time. Yeah, that's how I felt. But then looking at the questions, it was doable. You have to PSM, you just have to learn the images. Images are like super important. Apart from that, all your vaccines, the dosages, when it's given. So there are 2-3 questions based on vaccinations this time. So you have to just pick out all these important topics, revise it, make charts, stick it. I did all of that. And write it. If you don't remember, write things. You don't have to make a clean set of notes. Just scribble it on a piece of paper. It's fine. So I had like 2 notebooks completely scribbled. I still can't understand what I've written. So yeah, that's how you learn. For me, learning is easier.
And like FMG is now too uncertain कि कुछ नहीं पता कि what subjects will have higher number of question and कौन से subjects कम number of question आएंगे, because last time it was ENT and opthan and PSM was okay and there was no, like in December attempt I know, and there were no question from milestone. I don't know about this time, but last December attempt में कोई question नहीं था milestone.
If I'm not wrong, from milestones.
You had one question.
I think, I don't remember.
Yeah, 1 or 2 questions were there from milestones.
Yeah.
Okay. And another thing I wanted to ask, जो ये sessions YouTube पे होता है recall questions के, is it same जो original question होते हैं or is it different?
Well,
क्योंकि recall question जो I watched उसमें बहुत ज़्यादा difficult नहीं लगे मेरे को, कोई बहुत easy थे. मतलब पैथो was easy, but जब मैंने बात करी FMG तब उन्होंने कहा पैथो moderate आई थी. तो इज इट रिकॉल सेशन में कि ये डिफरेंट है, ये कि मतलब पूरे से वन लाइनर ही बन जाता है और उसके अंदर 2-4 लाइंस आते हैं?
See, the thing is, the questions are, actually moderate, but thing is the pressure at that time, that makes it difficult. Even the questions are moderate. When you will look at it, you will have this pressure. If you are giving, MCI exam, that pressure makes that more difficult, and I think, recall kaisa rehta hai na ki, dekho, agar aap, every institute has a different version of the same question. If you see, some will give, present it with a different way, some will tell you the different answer, some will tell you the different answer. So it's actually, not actually the same question, but yeah, you can take the, extract that, okay, this from this topic, this thing came. So okay, what are they expecting from this particular topic? That only you can run from recall, not the exact language. And the additional pressure there, it just makes it difficult, according to me.
Exactly. And what's your take on this, Dr. Sushma?
I actually didn't want to watch the recall for this time. I was too scared till the results were out. I didn't bother watching any of the recalls. I saw a lot of answers on Telegram group and I said, okay, I don't think I'll pass this time. I uninstalled Telegram. I said, okay, I unsubscribed a lot of things on YouTube because I didn't want to get notifications. I was that scared. But then I would say recall, since I haven't watched it, I am not quite sure. But as Dr. Mohit stated very clearly, that you can get an extract from it. You'll know which topic to be focused on rather than exact questions. Nobody will remember the exact question. Once you get out of the hall, it's great that you're even alive, breathing. It's because you're out of that stress. You're so stressed, you're in the pressure cooker. It's difficult, to remember each and every word. If sometimes you'll mix up the questions, you'll mix up the options. So whatever students produce after coming out of the hall, that's like a mixture of a lot of things, and different institutes will produce it in a different way, but the topics are going to be the same. Concepts are important at the end of the day.
One last question from you guys, like is there anything like you think you did this wrong or this was your mistake and you want future students to improve who are preparing for December 2022 attempt?
So I made quite a lot of mistakes, I would say. The biggest blunder being during the exam hall. I actually, I was told by many people not to change my answers. The biggest mistake I did for paper 2, I had finished it pretty early and I started changing the answers. I was like, okay, maybe this is wrong. You start overthinking the simplest of questions. You dissect every single word and you feel like, okay, what I wrote was wrong. But whatever you mark in your first attempt, your instincts are always right. Follow that. So maybe like 10-15 questions I changed in the end. If I had not changed it, I would have scored more than 210 for sure. So that was one of the biggest mistakes I made. Please don't do it. I would really request everybody not to change your answers unless you're 200% sure. Don't overthink during the exam. Whatever you know, just mark it. It's always right for the most part. Secondly, I did not keep one day every week for revision. So for me, after studying everything for the first time, during my subject-wise test, I found it very difficult to recall a lot of facts. I had to start from the scratch. So every week, maybe Saturday or Sunday, keep that day, dedicate that day just to revise whatever you've studied since day one, not just week. Since day one, whatever you've studied, do it. Along with that, do PYQs. I kept it for the end, which actually increased my anxiety levels because I got a lot of questions wrong. So I said, okay, I can't do it. That you enter a negative loop. So I wouldn't really suggest you to do it in the end. Start doing it from the beginning. You get these subject-wise PYQs, right? Just start solving that immediately. Thirdly, I would say revision. Keep revising as many times as possible. Even during your sleep, you should get your dream regarding your exam, regarding the topics. I don't know how it happened. A lot of times I used to study in my dream. I learned a lot of things in my dreams. So yeah, you have to, day and night, you have to dedicate only for this. No distractions, no social media. I was out of Instagram, Facebook, whatever, Netflix, Prime for 10 months. I was completely out of it. You need to get out of it. 10 months, because it takes a lot of time to get de-addicted. I was into Instagram and Netflix for a long period of time. So yeah, after the day I finished my exam, I got all those things back and I didn't even feel like using it for the most part because I was used to not using it. So yeah, no distractions, healthy food, exercise, meditate if possible, have a good sleep, 6 to 7 hours of sleep. It's important. Because if you don't sleep well, you can't process all the information you've studied the entire day. So yeah, that's it. And also you should know the skill of solving MCQs. It's not always about picking the right ones. You need to know how to roll out the options. Right. And that will help you during the exam. When you have like 5-6 lines and you start sweating and you don't know, you start panicking in the hall, you need to learn how to stay calm. And when you have like these huge 5-6 lines of questions, don't panic, read the last sentence, the options, and then get back to the question. For the most part, you'll be able to solve it by reading the last 2 lines. But yeah, that's it. That's my advice for the people who are going to attempt this December.
And you, Dr. Mohit?
Well, if you're preparing it from your home, then first thing, make sure you stick to your schedule. because if you don't, you will not reach anywhere. Okay. And for example, what I did, I scheduled, for example, in this day, for example, from 20th to 29th, I have to complete my anatomy. From this to this, I have to complete my physiology, because you will, if you're preparing it from home, no one will come and pressure you that do this, do that. You have to do it on your own, and if you don't do it, then you will regret it in the end. And why मैंने क्यों नहीं किया ये पहले. तो ये चीज. Second thing, yes, distractions. Please avoid all the distractions, especially the social media, because I myself was addicted to it, but I had to just leave it. I just deleted everything from my mobile. The only app at that time for 6 months in my mobile was Prepladder, nothing else, because जब कुछ है ही नहीं तो कहाँ distract होगे, right? And no subscriptions, please. Nothing, no Netflix, no nothing, because that will just waste your time. And I understand that sometimes people will think, yeah, by continuously studying for 3 to 4 hours, I'm just not getting now, nahi ja raha dimag ke andar. Try to take small breaks in between, 15-20 minutes. Listen to some songs, some music, chit chat with your family about it, talk to your friends about it. That will boost your confidence. Social media will just drain you, nothing else. Yeah, that's the thing. You just listen to some music. What I did, even before starting my preparations, I took a trip with my family, just clear it all out, and then I started my preparations for FMG. And then just I did these things, just sticking to my schedules, not getting distracted from social media, regularly solving MCQs, learning how to decode the MCQs, especially the clinical ones, because even nowadays you are also getting the biochemistry questions in a clinical scenario. And biochemistry, as I know, I just memorized it. Nothing to understand biochemistry. What will you do by understanding biochemistry, right? According to me, you just have to learn it. That's the case. And sticking to my schedules, away from the distractions, and just solving as many as questions as I can. And as I told you previously, solving mock tests in the last 2-3 months. That was my whole strategy. And I guess one thing that you should not do is, please don't even take a break from it. Even sometimes you have to go to a marriage, your parents are saying, or let's go there, let's go out, don't even take the break for one day. That will completely disturb your flow. And if your flow gets disturbed, you will take again more time to make it again. That will just more time. So it's better, just forget about everything. 6 months, just focus, and you will be okay. You will be all right.
That's great. That's great. Thank you so much, both of you. It was an amazing session. And I hope बहुत बच्चों को helpful होगा. And I also hope you guys enjoyed this session. And so thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much.